Welcome to another video here at Back to Classics, and today we are going to discuss this 2001 MH900 Evoluzione, MH standing for Mike Hailwood. And even though this is quite a modern bike for our standards, still it is 22 years old by now, so on its way to becoming a real classic. But of course also back then a bike that was commemorating the Mike Hailwood victory of 1978 and also the NCR racing bikes. So let's dive into this model and how it all came about. So the MH900 Evoluzione. Well, Evoluzione, it says it all. It is a commemoration of earlier bikes, and especially the NCR racing bikes of the 1970s. You can see that especially in the color scheme, and we can link to a number of videos we did on the original NCR racing bikes, the bevel drive and racing bikes of the 1970s. That clearly was an inspiration for this bike. Now, of course, Mike Hailwood's famous victory on the Isle of Man in 1978 was on one of those NCR-built racing bikes of the 1970s, and that is where this bike is drawn from. It was designed by Pierre Terblanche, a very known name in the industry, a motorcycle designer of South African origin. Came to work for Ducati in the late 1990s, and that is where he got his, he was also always very fond of these NCR racing bikes of the 1970s, and he thought of sort of a retro bike commemorating these great legends from 20 years before that. And that is how in 1998 this model first was introduced on on more of a prototype level in a fair with Pierre Terblanche as a designer of this MH900 Evoluzione. Like I said, commemorating the bevel drive NCR racing bikes of the 1970s, but of course with a modern touch. In fact, one could argue, especially looking back, how popular these retro bikes have become by now. But Terblanche certainly was ahead of its time, ahead of his time in 1998, foreseeing a market for retro bikes, getting back at with a more of a classic look to it, but of course with a modern touches, modern way of building a motorcycle. And that is, one of the first retro bikes that came to market was actually this one. You can see obviously a modern 900 Supersport engine, modern suspension, modern frame, but with the looks and feels of a more classic approach. And that is, has become quite popular over time. Back in 1998, when this was first introduced, it was something quite radical. So let's go into more of the details on this particular bike. So what makes this bike so special? Well, first of all, it was made in limited numbers. About 2,000 were made, and they were all numbered, like this one is. And it was built as a special bike next to the standard Ducati lineup. At first it was the idea to have this bike produced at Bimota in Rimini, to have made in small numbers, but over the years it gradually became problematic for Bimota, especially after the introduction of their V2, their own developed engine, and it caused the Bimota factory to go bankrupt right at the time that Ducati wanted these bikes to be built. So in the end they did it themselves. And there was a small corner in the factory dedicated to these machines, where they built about 2 to 3 a day, which was also causing a delay before this bike came to market in the year 2000. So what they actually did was they took the standard 900 Supersport engine they had available at the time, same injection system, same basic layout, except for a extra added piece of aluminium at the bottom, and that is just there to make it look like a bevel drive engine. well, lots of bevel drive engines to show where the idea from this extra piece of crankcase came from. And well, that's unique to the MH900e to have that extra set of crankcases. It's not, in fact, a crankcase. It's just a cover, an aluminium cover. Of course, also the frame was specific for this bike, albeit it was based on again the 900 Supersport, like the front fork as well, and the brake system. But apart from that, the whole of the bodywork was specifically made for this bike. And what was the pièce de résistance, if you want to call it that, is of course the single piece fairing that goes over into the fuel tank. So whereas the original NCR racing bikes had these wonderful fuel tank and seat combinations in one, this one has the fairing and the fuel tank as a one-piece unit. Specifically made and beautifully detailed, as you can see here on these little things where how the screen is fitted to the fairing. These specifically made stubs with a threaded piece on top. Again, they could have done that in a much more simple way, but it is beautifully done. Same goes for the dashboard and the steering damper that you see there. And these little details like these, the way that mud guard is fitted, again with this aluminium piece, all specially made, as well as the specific wheels. Again, these are specific for the MH900e. The exhaust system finished in black, a unique feature with this chrome-plated heat shield. On the earlier examples, that was made of aluminium. Later ones received that one in chrome steel. Going back further, exhaust system, all unique and specifically made for this model. And if you look at the details here of how this bracket is attached for the number plate and the indicators, you can see that a lot of thought went into that, and also the machining and the fabrication of all these parts was up at a very, very high level. You can see even here, this tube here for the wires to run through. It is not just anything made of plastic out of China with a tie wrap around it. No, they went all the way, and the details on this bike is absolutely beautifully executed in this occasion. So that's what really set this bike apart. Apart from it being, of course, a limited edition with, like I said, 2,000 made in total over a course of 2 years. So further details is this beautifully made rear swing arm, as you can see, with the tubes and how it all was executed. It is made in a beautiful way with a monoshock, also unique to this model. From this side, you perhaps even better see how this extra piece, these aluminium covers, to make it look like a bevel drive engine, is fitted there. This particular bike is number 1900, number 1900, out of the production run of 2,000 in total. So one of the final ones built in 2001. And this particular bike was brought to us because it was parked in the shed for nearly 15 years. It had not been running. So we had quite a lot of work to do, actually, especially the fuel injection system was in a bad way. There was a lot of old petrol inside that we had to clean out. Fuel tank as well. Fuel pump, for that reason, also was broken. So that was quite a job. Engine service, again, of course, new tires after all these years, new fluids everywhere, and this bike is now good to go again. And it is also for sale. That is something we don't see very often, again, because these bikes are, well, only 2,000 have been made. This bike is now up for sale. On our website, we can add the link to this video, so should you be interested in this bike or any other things that we have, Be sure to contact us. Our contact details are always on our website. So for this bike, we did a lot of work, and we would like to take it on the road again and see if it all performs well before we actually close this project and see if we can find a new owner for this bike. So let's take it out and hit the road. Never mind the dog, people. Doesn't like bikes. You idiot. So, well, all went well. Bike is running beautifully, as you could see. And, well, it's one project finished for us. And hopefully, like I said, we could find a new owner for this bike who will really appreciate it for what it is. Something really, really special, and already on its way to becoming a real classic. That concludes another video here at Back to Classics. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And well, hopefully we have a new video for you very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Toodaloo-dokie. See you next time.